I am Professor Michael Mainelli. I am the executive chairman of Zien Group, a research firm based in the City of London, arguably the City of London's leading commercial think tank. To me, sustainability is basically about making no impact over a long period of time, therefore leaving everything for future generations largely as we found it. And I think at the moment, 4 decades of delay might be coming to a very abrupt end on climate change. We have been talking about it for a while. We have set targets, most notably the increasingly echoed 2050 net zero carbon targets. This target implies that in 2050, we intend to emit no new net carbon, i.e. to be sustainable. And against what little we probably will have to admit, we will extract from the atmosphere a compensating amount and sequester it somewhere. If our commitments are true, then globally, we are moving in 29 years from emissions approaching 40 billion tons of carbon equivalent to nil. That's a steep change. What probably surprised me most was back in 1984, having a debate on climate change when I first began working in the city 37 years ago. The city has some of the brightest analysts. We had then a greenhouse gas theory from the late 1800s. We had compelling CO2 data from Mauna Loa, Hawaii, since 1958, charting the rise of CO2. And we had economic theories of externalities. Externalities are industrial or commercial activities that affect other parties without some cost. A positive externality is a beekeeper's bees pollinating surrounding crops. A negative externality is a factory owner's smokestack belching poisons over surrounding neighborhoods. But that 1984 debate ended where it would end today. Does society really want to pay to avert climate change? A not unreasonable estimate is £200 to £400 per Briton per year for the next 3 decades. Now, my firm produces the Global Green Finance Index, and every 6 months, we rate financial centers on depth, i.e. their commitment to green, and quality, how good is the green advice you get in that center. And from nowhere a few years ago, financial centers are all competing on how green they can be. And London used to be leading in this, but is already being pushed aside by centers in Asia, America, and Europe. Global finance cares, and we'll be hearing a lot more on this in the run-up to COP26 in Glasgow this November. Now, to meet the 2050 net zero carbon target, we need to do something we've never done before. We need to do it without counting on the power sector to put lipstick on our numbers. Business and residential property emissions haven't improved ever and are, in rough terms, just over 40% of total emissions, about 20% for business and about 20% for residential. So residential and commercial buildings and construction have to improve rapidly. And that's why I'm delighted that the Bartlett School has created the Bartlett School for Sustainable Construction. And this focus on commercial and residential emissions will intensify sharply. If you're feeling ambitious, try calculating a whole life cycle carbon assessment for your next construction project, and you'll find that we have a long way to go. And we can do it if we're prepared to commit and to pay. Too much futurology is full of apocalyptic disasters when most of human history over the past 5 centuries is a story of progress. As Macaulay said, on what principle is it that with nothing but improvement behind us, we are to expect nothing but deterioration before us? So let's seize the day and discussions with fellow academics, scientists, economists, constructors, and society. We can build a sustainable society, and the new focus of the Bartlett School is part of that. Thank you.